Welcome back. I don't often do this, in fact almost never, but I'm going to remake the video that I made yesterday. Now what I did yesterday was go back through the last several daily games on chess.com and try to figure out what went wrong. I've lost quite a few daily games, not in a row because there are a couple of wins in there, but I've lost most of my last, dozen or more. And several things went wrong in that video, so I'm going to remake it today. One thing that went wrong was that they've changed the layout of this game page here. Now, this game I don't need to evaluate. In this one, my opponent made 2 moves, let me make my second move, and then they timed out. So something came up that they couldn't come back in 3 days and finish the game. But you can see over here on the lower right, there used to be the game review button, and then beside it, there was the self-analysis button. And that's gone. And I wasn't sure what this plus button was here. When you hover over it, nothing pops up, so I don't know what it was. And yesterday I clicked that button and it created a new challenge and I got a new game that I didn't even want. And I didn't know what this restart button was. It looks like a restart button, but you can't restart a game that's already over. But when I clicked that, it sent a challenge for a rematch to this opponent. So I wish those buttons had been labeled or at least have a pop-up instead of just a plus sign, because I don't know what that means. And the other one looks like a restart icon, but instead it was rematch, and the plus meant new game. But anyway, I learned that on the fly while I was recording it, and I didn't know how to get to the analysis board from here. So I tried fiddling with the URL, because the URL changes when you go to the analysis board from the game, and instead it took me to a game review, which I didn't have because I don't have any more game reviews. I just have the one per day now with my lower level paid account. But anyway, today I found this button down here at the bottom. I don't even know if that was there yesterday. I'm positive I didn't see it. But anyway, if I click that, will that take me to the analysis board? No, it took me to a game review. Wow. And from here, you have to click a different magnifying glass to get to the analysis board. I didn't need a game review for this game, so we just wasted my only free game review of the day for this. Okay, this video is not going very well either, but I'm going to power through because I'm in a little bit better mood than I was yesterday. I'm going to look at the game before this, which was one that I lost, and see if I can figure out what happened. Okay, in this one I was playing with the white pieces. As you can see, I had lost via checkmate on move 78. Again, there's a game review button and the analysis magnifying glass down here. Now we know that if you click that, it takes you to the game review anyway, so I don't know why they're both there. And it's running a game review anyway, even though I just used one. Okay, so maybe I have more than one free game review a day. But anyway, in this one it says my opponent played pretty close to their rating and I played much worse than that. I don't want the game review, I want the analysis board. On the really slim chance that you know anybody that works at chess.com, I would sure love it if on the game page there was a button that would go straight to this analysis tab here rather than trying to go through the game review first, especially since I assume most of the users of chess.com are not paid users and it's just going to tell them they don't have any game reviews. But anyway, I'm going to start at the end and go backward until the last point that I had a chance. Okay, it looks like here 25 moves earlier after move 53, I am ahead +5, but I have an only move. Now it says what I played here was bishop to c7, which is down there. I think what my plan was to restrict the king from, going to the d file, and then I was going to march this d pawn forward, which would be a check. The king wouldn't be able to come this way. It would have to come up beside the pawn, and then I would promote. So I'm not sure what the problem with that was. When I played bishop to c7, which is here, then my opponent played f4, and then I pushed my pawn. Oh, but they have a pawn that's also 2 squares from promotion and they're going to promote with check. That's what the problem with that was, because they're going to move the, let's see, it's their turn. They're going to move the pawn. I'm going to move the pawn, but see, mine comes with check. Okay, so is that what happened? They pushed their pawn, I pushed mine with check. They have to go to e7 or f7. It says if they go to e7, I'm ahead again. And that's because I promote with check. But they went to f7 so that I don't promote with check. So I promoted, then they promoted with check, and I have to get out of check, and I did the wrong thing. I should have played king to b5 to keep it at -3. But I mean, -3 is basically already lost, but I blocked with my queen. Okay, so back here, I definitely should not have played this. I should have played d6 first. It's my only move. And I'm trying to figure out how I would notice that during the game. I guess it's just counting. Let me see here. If I play d6, obviously if they play h2 now, I can just take it with the bishop. I don't know that they would, but it says that they would play f4. So if I play d6, they play f4, which keeps my bishop from going down here. But I don't have to worry about that bishop for a minute because I can play d7, which is a check. And it says they would move up, but I assume they would get in front of it. I don't know. They would have obviously multiple choices from that check. 4 choices, I guess. But if they pick one of these two, which I assume are the best because this pawn is here and they want to be guarding that promotion square, then I can't promote because they're guarding the promotion square. So I guess I would have to move my king to protect the promotion square. Let's see, I played d6. Okay, their best move is f4, but they could also play king to d8. They could get in front of the pawn now, but I'm way ahead even if they play their best move. So let's say they played their best move, so my bishop can't defend this anymore. Here, I again have an only move, and I think I could find this one. It's a check, it's forcing, it saves my bishop for just a second. Now it says if they come up to e7, I need to bring my king down. Okay, that protects the promotion square. But if they go king to f7, then I would go ahead and promote. Oh, okay. What if they got in front of it? That's not listed. Well, first I want to move and see if I have only moves after this. If they go to f7, I don't have an only move. I could just take f4. In fact, that says that's my best move, but I could also promote. Nope, promoting is better now. Backing up. What if they went to e7? Again, I do not have an only move. I could either take the pawn or push the king forward. And Stockfish thinks taking the pawn is probably better here, but I'm still way ahead. What if they get in front of it, which is what I thought they might do? Okay, now I have an only move. So I've had two only moves in a row. And by only move, I mean the only move that keeps my advantage. Anything else, loses, basically. This was an only move, this was an only move, and now I have another one, bishop to e1, down here. Okay, it's because I need to get the king out from in front of the pawn. That's what I got really frustrated here yesterday because I thought, how am I going to find 4 or 5 only moves in a row? And it did turn out to be 5, I think, in this line. But because I've had, 24 hours to let this roll around in my brain, I think here I would be able to find this, hopefully, because I know that my goal has to be moving this king. Because I need to put my king here, and then I need to promote. And the only way to move that king right now is with my bishop, and I have to bring my bishop to e5 and then to a5. Sorry, e1 and then a5. Now, if I play e1, what are they going to do? So it says they might just get out of the way of the pawn anyway. Now, if they do that, I can still play bishop to a5 or probably move my king. But let's see, if they play king to e7, okay, I do not have an only move there. Their next best move is h2, and then I have the only move of bishop to a5. So I have to check. The king cannot go this way or here or here. So there's only one legal move right now. Sorry, they could block with the bishop. So there's 2 legal moves. They could block with the bishop or move the king to e7. They block with the bishop, I'm just going to take it. If they move to e7, again, only move. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 only moves in a row. Now those last couple I think I might have found, but yesterday I didn't think I would find hardly any of them from here. But I think now maybe I would. And I think because during the game I miscalculated here. When I played bishop to c7, I didn't calculate that playing f4 protects this h-pawn and my bishop can't see it anymore. But from here I'm still guarding h2 and I can just move the pawn forward and bring the bishop around this way. Okay. I feel a lot better about this today than I did yesterday. Yesterday I felt completely lost, and then I went on, and the next few games were pretty tough to figure out too. But the fact is, I just need to get better at calculating, especially in in-game scenarios like this, and it's a daily game. It's not a blitz or a bullet game, so I had plenty of time. If I wasn't sure what to play or hadn't had time to calculate it out, I could have just waited. I had 3 days to make my move, and that's what I should have done. So, okay, so I think I did learn something from this game, even if the only thing I learned is that I need to take my time when I have the time and actually figure out what's going to work and what's not going to work. Okay, let's go on to the next one. The next one was another one that I won on time, and I think here that we're even, but I'm going to click the little magnifying glass, which again takes us, okay, now it says I, don't have the unlimited game reviews anymore, but it did take us to the analysis board, and I'm pretty sure that I wasn't winning here. Okay, I was barely ahead, and my opponent timed out. So there's probably not much to learn from this game. I could go through every move and see if there was a huge gap or something, but here I won because my opponent didn't come back and finish. The game before that is this one. I lost by checkmate. So I'm going to back up to the point at which I gave away the advantage. Okay, it looks like in this one there was a series of moves in which I gave away the advantage. Only one move that gave my opponent the advantage, but here I'm up -4, and I have to take this knight. I'm not sure why I didn't. Because did I not see that my queen is hitting it also? And it says if I took, they would take back. I don't know that they would, but again, daily game, I had the time. I should have looked. I had to have seen, obviously, that my rook is pointed here, and I'm up. I'm up 2 pawns. So I should have just been able to take this knight, and it's free. And if they want to trade rooks, which if they were looking at the engine at this point, they would know that that's their best move, but that's just a rook trade, and then I'm up a full piece instead of up 2 pawns. Okay, so that knight was free. I should have seen that. It's free in the sense that I have 2 pieces pointed at it, and they only have 1 defender on it. But instead I attacked it with a pawn, which gave away some of my advantage. Now what they're supposed to do is run away with the knight to, oh, it says b3, or just take the bishop. But instead they ran away to d3. I guess they didn't want to do the even trade again because I'm up on pawns and I have a passed pawn. And what I should have played here is move that passed pawn, according to the engine, or f4. f4. Oh, because my queen and rook are both behind f4. But f4 can't go anywhere. d4 I totally get. It attacks the rook. It's not defended by anything, but they don't have anything attacking the d4 square. So it says that at that point they would just trade rooks here. I would take back, and then they would have to drop this queen back to get in front of my d-pawn. Okay, I think I could have found that too. But for some reason I thought I needed to take that rook first. Maybe that's because I was aware that, I was ahead. But I think the problem with taking here is when they take back with the pawn, my d-pawn's not a passed pawn anymore. I don't know if I realized that before, that you can unpass a pawn. Because the definition of a passed pawn is a pawn that doesn't have any pawn in front of it on its own file or the files adjacent to it. Pawns on the adjacent files can stop that pawn. So right now this is technically a passed pawn, but if I trade for this rook, it's not a passed pawn anymore because they have a pawn on the adjacent file that can stop it. I mean, that makes total sense, but I guess I never thought about it before, and I certainly didn't think about it here, and I lost a little bit more advantage because now, again, not a passed pawn anymore. Again, f4 is my best move. Again, I'm not sure why. And it says they would play g4 in response. I don't know that they would, but maybe they would. I don't know. But I also don't, it's not going anywhere. Even if I make it one more square, they can just push the g-pawn one, and then this pawn, it's not doing anything except keeping the king from coming out that way. And it says after they played that, I would take with en passant, and then they would take with the queen. Oh, I guess I'm just getting the f-pawn out of the way of these? Is that what I'm doing? Maybe that's it. And I think I didn't go back this far in this game yesterday, so I didn't see this part. But that makes sense. If they do come this way, or here, and I can take, and if they take, now my queen and rook are opened up, and they're barreling through here. But if I move and they don't play g3 or g4, then what? Then the pawn's just gone forward one? Oh, then I could move this one and threaten the rook with the bishop. Let's see, what's their move besides okay, g4 and g3 are their two top moves. But what if they don't play that? What if they play a3? Then what? Oh, I can take that with my queen. Okay. What if they play, I don't know, moving this knight back? Then I would play, oh, e5. I guessed it, e5 to threaten the rook. The rook is running out of running room. It would have to come over here, and then I could play, oh, that's why I wanted to get the f-pawn out of the way so I can threaten their queen. Okay, I think I understand then this. It's twofold. One, if they do respond with one of their best moves, I get out of the way of my rook and queen. And if they don't, I can threaten their rook, it's going to move, and then I can move my rook up and threaten their queen. I think I understand that. I saw that their knight was undefended, so I went out here, but that lost half of my advantage. I'm down to -1 now, -1 point something. Their best move is to hop in here. Well, of course it is, because that's a great place for their knight. And then they can defend it with the pawn if they want to, but they hopped in there. And it's threatening my rook, and I need to move it to c7. Oh, that's a great place to move it. Oh, again, here I did not pick my best move, but that should have been relatively obvious because it's still doing the thing that it's there for. The reason the rook's on f7 is because it's guarding that h-pawn. But on c7, it's still guarding the h-pawn, and it's targeting this pawn. And if they move that pawn forward, I can take it, and I have a passed pawn. I think I see that, but instead I just got out of danger this way, which lost a little bit more of my advantage because now the rook's kind of trapped. It is protecting two pawns, and it's in the way of my king, but it's not doing anything active. It's a passive rook. I think it's the reason that that's not as good. My opponent did not play their best move either. They shoved their rook down in here, and Stockfish would offer the queen trade now or go after the knight. And the engine thinks that if I went after the knight, they would drop the queen back to e3 to protect the knight. That makes sense. And if I went for the queen trade, they would drop back to e3 to avoid the queen trade. Okay, so the queen trade would be better for me, and I assume that's because I have more pawns. Okay, again, I think I could have seen that. In fact, in the past, I have often thrown opponents off balance, usually in blitz or rapid, by offering queen trades, and they run away, and they often run away to the wrong place. But in a daily game, maybe I spent too much time here, and I thought that, that wouldn't be that good. I don't know. They can get out of it, basically. Now, it says if I picked d6 and they dropped back to defend the knight, then I would play bishop to e8, which is down here. I probably wouldn't find that. But anyway, here, I guess I couldn't think of what to play, and I liked where all these pieces were, so I left them all there, and I just played a5. Now we're nearly even if my opponent will play h4. And my opponent played h4. I think the obvious thing here is that they're aiming for h5. I can't move this pawn, so when they get there, what am I going to do? Am I going to take it, or am I going to wait until they take me? And then they've, basically they're able to ram through the H file here. Also, they have a bunch of pieces pointed at this, and once they get that pawn in there, my G-pawn's gone. Again, I should have played, okay, now here I should have found bishop to E8 because it's protecting that. That makes sense. Or again, queen to E7 offering the queen trade. And again, it says they would drop back, and then I would play queen to C5, I guess aiming for that pawn. But yeah, I think I should have been able to find either one of those, but instead I went down here. I do remember finding that move and thinking it was pretty brilliant. I can keep that H-pawn from going forward, I thought. I think the problem with that is that if I actually put my bishop on H5, they can trap it in there with this pawn. I mean, I can take that pawn, but then they can take back, and things start getting pretty dicey over there. The other thing is, if they push this forward and I take here, even if they don't play that pawn, they probably can sacrifice a rook for it because, again, I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but at the time, I remember thinking that was pretty good. Well, I'm not sure why Stockfish says their best move is queen to F4. What's that going to accomplish? I'm not sure, but their next best move is F3, which keeps my bishop from seeing down there, and that's what my opponent played. And now my bishop doesn't have time to get back to E8. In fact, it says I should just put it back on B5 now. Well, I'd already put it down there. It's not an immediate danger, so I left it there. And again, I should offer the queen trade, but I played rook to C7, finally. And that's where I lost the advantage, right there. We're fairly close to even. We're between +1 and -1. And as you saw earlier, rook to C7 was among my best moves. But earlier, they didn't have this pawn here, and earlier, they didn't have this knight here. But now this knight's here. Now this pawn's coming forward. My bishop can't see up there anymore. I think here I probably should have offered the queen trade. This time it says they would get out of it to D2, not to E3. Although I suppose it wouldn't matter. Either way, I'd need to move this bishop probably back to B5, it says, or I might go even further, I don't know. Again, I think I could have found this one. Bishop to B5 doesn't make any sense to me, but queen to E7 does. If they trade queens now, I think I'll be okay because of the extra pawns. Well, I got more out of this game than I did when I went through it yesterday, and I think part of it was because I backed up a little further to when I actually had an advantage. Yesterday, I just backed up to this spot. I made it through one more game in yesterday's video, and it was this one here. I was playing with the black pieces. You can see I've lost by checkmate here. Again, I will back up to the point at which I lost the advantage. Okay, here we were dead even after 37 moves, or after my opponent's 37th move. When they played this, they should have played something else. But now we're even, but only if I play king to C5. Now, at this point in yesterday's video, I was already really frustrated because I felt like I hadn't understood any of those other games, and I was frustrated with, the analysis thing, trying to find the analysis board from the game page. And so I think I didn't look very far into this, but I had to find this move. Now, what I played was my second best move, according to the engine, is A4, and that was here. Now, another thing that frustrated me in yesterday's video is that when I played A4 and I followed out the next several moves, and then I backed up, it doesn't say it's 0.86 here. It says it's +2. Okay, it didn't do it today. Today, it says plus 0.67, so it's even better now than it was before. But yesterday, when I went forward and backed up, it's +2 if I play A4 here. It's +1 and then 1.7 way back here, even if I make my best move. The eval has changed since I went that far forward. Backing up, backing up. So we're still even here if I play king to C5. But now A4 is much worse, because when we first looked at this just a couple of minutes ago, it said 0.6 or 0.58, something like that. But now, if I make my second best move, it's more than an inaccuracy. It's a full-blown mistake. It takes us almost to +2 when I played this. Oh, now it's over +2. Well, it was for a second. It's right at +2. So that was frustrating. But king to C5, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to find that that's the best move. But king to C5, it had to be that, and I'm not sure why. We did find out that I might want to put my knight here to check them at some point, depending on what they play, but that can't be the only reason I'm moving the king. Okay, maybe if I had more time, I would keep looking, but I've already looked at this yesterday, and I've looked at it for some time today, and I can't figure out a guiding principle or an idea for this. Because right now, my king and knight are preventing their king from coming through, and moving the king over here still does that, so their king can't move forward, but it's doing that now, so I don't know why I would need to move it. I'm not sure. Let me know if you understand this one, because this one is definitely throwing me, and let me know what you're doing to get better at chess. That would help me out a ton. Thanks for spending your time here. I'll see you next time.